appeal, and we think that Attorney General, being that he's a member of the board, and apart from being a member of the board, even the office is charged of representing the government wherever the government has a cases. So the government has lost properties. The government they have lost even because some they have awarded court costs. So to the tune, because and the surprising questions, I think other members will come in on that, where I find that they are asking for the court have awarded 1 billion in those cases, and find other issues, but saying they are 6 billion and they're paying that. So all those who want to know exactly, was it by design that the Attorney General doesn't want to do anything to do with custodian board to represent them, or they don't inform them that there is such and such cases. So, and among our terms of reference, the Parliament wanted to know how many cases does custodian board has so far, how many cases have we won as a government, how many cases have we lost as a government, how many pending cases, and what are their status. That one comes of the cases. We have even administrative issues which needed the legal opinion of the Attorney General. For instance, when you read the board minutes, which sat on 8th April 2010 at 10 a.m. in the Ministry of Finance, 7th floor, boardroom, you find that in the minute 9, under inconsistency in assets register, there is the last statement of the minutes says lack of property register is attributed to lack of proper handover by former managers, changes in political regimes. The Speaker of Parliament received a petition from Guma and Company Advocates, the lawyers of Captain Retired Bernard Shaw from Isigire, saying that he never handed over the office because he was not given an opportunity to hand over. And we are seeing that most of has a problem which they cited as a key issue in custodian board of lack of proper register was the handover. Now, with the person who didn't hand over, how do we know that he went with the government properties, is still using government properties? So all these are issues because now they want the speaker, and the speaker forwarded this letter to us, which we feel that this is the time to respond to that. Members, if you have other questions directed to the Attorney General so that he can respond to them, or we give him time to proceed, and we proceed with other issues. Honorable Itom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as you stated, one of the main reasons why we wanted the Attorney General to appear as a person is from our terms of reference. And we must answer all the terms of reference to the court cases. And from the Attorney General's report, there is an issue with compensation. When you read the report says that you have noted that court awarded compensation claims the tune of 1 billion. But when they interacted with the accounting officer said that the figure is up to the tune of 6 billion. So as the person in charge of advising government as far as these cases are concerned, we want to know how you are handling these claims and how far you have gone. Then another issue is about reviewing properties. In the Auditor General's report, there are properties that were reviewed by government. These are land titles that were left by in the banks. And these properties, according to what Custod report, there are 85 properties. Now, out of 85 properties, 9 properties which were reviewed actually belong to the journalists. And there's no reason why government should review properties for the journalists. And to our surprise, these properties are taken and taken out by these journalists. In the same report, they are saying that 81 land acres originals, they are still in the possession of the custodian board. But it seems the owners of those properties are either passed behind with some other bricks and got special titles and sold the properties and they look into it. So these titles are still in the custodian board. We don't know the implication of having original land titles in the custodian board when somebody has made a special title and is using the government. The last chair is about I'm just reading what they are saying that there are some political influence in the management of these properties. That some properties were taken by big people in office now to go through the legal procedure of taking these properties. That even some properties were undervalued. And you know the legal situation of undervaluing the properties. So these are some of the issues why we wanted you to come here as a person that you can help the community. You don't write a balanced report and yet you can give you a fair hearing and give you a opinion. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, mine is just an addition to what Honorable Tungo has said. There is a note that there is the Attorney General of the then Justice that's doing as the Attorney General regarding the compensated properties. There are properties that we are compensated fully, especially the buildings, by Bank of Uganda, Rather government of Uganda, others by UNHCR, and the Attorney General then guided that the owners of those properties that they are compensating had no right to repossess. But when you peruse through the list, you got a chance of visiting the sites. We were in the field in Masakam. First when I was in Masakam, Badara, Kabarare, and some of those properties, almost all compensated properties in those areas, they again got repossession certificates, and they have since crossed hands. What is yes, say, and then they are on redeemed properties. Redeemed properties, it seems Custodian board, I remember some time back when we were here, the chairman of the board and the executive secretary, they were happily reporting to us that they have 84 titles with them. But when we went to the field, all those properties, they have freehold titles.
They have
Freehold titles. The redeemed properties in Masakam, Barara, they all have freehold titles now. Are we using those properties? Yet government paid for them? And then lastly, Attorney General, it's on your opinion regarding the repossession certificates. There are people who repossess properties, and there is, I think, a writer from the then Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. I think I'm Solicitor General, I just remember, regarding the repossession that if they detect, the custodian board detects an irregularity, the minister has authority to to cancel the repossession certificate. And we have some cases where, as in Mayanja and Kandi, where some repossession certificates were cancelled. And then for you raise a write-up, an opinion that the Minister of Finance has no powers to cancel the repossession certificate. What was the basis of that opinion? Thank you.
Thank you, members. I think it's important that we address all issues so that Attorney General can answer at once. Then again, we have an issue of certificates which were withdrawn by the minister, and they were gazetted, in the Gazette on 8th November 1991. Among those properties which were gazetted, there is plot 38 Kampala Road, there is plot 1 Parliamentary Avenue, which is now Chain where Parliament seat to renting. There is plot 90 to 92 7th Street. There is plot 5 William Street. There is plot 11 Saapalokapwa. So the issue is now, what is the effect of the minister withdrawing the certificate? And if he has withdrawn them and also went ahead and gazetted them, and you find that other people, they are taking over these properties, as a committee we have found that we have senior citizens in charge of taking over these properties. Moreover, the certificates were withdrawn and they were gazetted. We thought we could have, maybe if the gazette is there is another gazette which to the gazette these ones we have not seen, and so we need your opinion. We also, but in addition to that, there is also a pending issue on plot 6, which we say that if the possession not approved, the owner to be compensated, and the owner was compensated and was gazetted. But up to today, when we invited the occupants of the place, they said they went to court. We are asking, they went to court to defend what? Because the government paid them.
Plot 6, Mr. Chairman.
Plot 6 in Tebe Road, that is Kam, the non-Kam Plaza. So you find that now they have gone to court to do what? Because the property was paid. All record says they were paid. Even when the IGG then was still asking them to take to make sure they get the property, but on condition that they pay back, despite the fact that the IGG was not acting based on the law. But even if we take that ask them to pay, they never paid. They never paid back the money which they received, and up to now they are still enjoying the rentals from the building. What is the legal opinion on that? 2, we have properties which were left under Diamond Trust Bank. There are 55 properties. Among the 55 properties, we also have evidence here where some members of custodian board, they were paying some money from the collection account to those banks getting the mortgages, like plot 43, plot 14 Bukedea, plot 9 Bududa, plot 14 Kaunye Ren, plot 56 Gwel Road, plot 58 Gwel Road. But even those properties, they are not, we don't know where they redeemed the mortgages, but they are not among the redeemed properties. But the key issue is the Diamond Trust Bank, we have written several times for them to furnish us and to release these properties, because these properties are government properties. We have not heard from them. They have kept quiet completely. Then we have other properties remain under the new law which governs custodian board properties. But before, Amin had sold those properties to different Ugandans. However, when the new law came in place, disputing all the properties which were paid before or which were given out, cancelling all of them, government paid some individuals compensated them so that those properties can, the government can take them. But up to today, we have evidence that 20 properties were paid for, but up to today, those members, they are still holding into those properties. What is the effect of that? Then another pertinent issue which has been lingering around the world, it is about Plot 24, where the custodian board asked someone to, that they wrote to the proprietor of Plot 24 that this plot is under custodian board. Instead, that person going to custodian board either to regularize, he went to court. When he went to court under judicial review, because under the old legal literature, we have not found where judicial review can give ownership of something. That when you read the judgment of Justice Mulanga, he gave him the ownership, and whenever I ask that person, he says, no, for me the court gave me the property. And we think that it would be prudent for Attorney General to appeal on that issue, but we didn't show any attempt for the office of the Attorney General to appeal on that, and the government they lost that prime property. The question here would be, do we have any opportunity of redeeming that property? Because all documents and everything shows it's a property of the government, and the minister never dealt in it. So I think other questions can arise as we are moving. Unless you have a very pending.
I have the Gazette with me of 5th May 1993, where the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Honorable Mayanja Khan, published about the deadline for repossession. You are saying that all the applicants were given up 30th day of October 1993 to repossess their properties. That no application shall be accepted, and all properties that shall not have been claimed by that date shall be deemed abandoned by their owners, and the minister shall proceed to deal with those properties. But we have got properties that were repossessed up to 2004, 2011. What is the effect? Thank you.
Members, I think now let's Attorney General, through the chairperson of the board, respond to those questions. Other questions, if arise, we can give.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This last Plot 24 you're talking about is of where?
That's Plot 24.
You said
which road?
Plot 24, Kampala Road.
Oh, Kampala.
Where there is a current Bravad Alvin house.
Thank you. So I will attempt to answer all those. The first question from you was how many cases, maybe if you permit me and I remove the mask.
Please.
For this short time.
You don't fear corona?
I fear to transmit it. That's why I'm asking your permission. How many cases has custodian board? First of all, I've just been telling the minister that I have on several occasions asked the executive secretary of custodian board to come to my office so as to sit with the Solicitor General and go through all these things, but he has not. I've just been telling the minister, and he's there several times. But now back to the issue of the questions. How many cases does custodian board have? Custodian board one. How many have they lost, and what is the current status? Of course, I don't have the answer to that now. What I can say, because I'm with the Deputy Solicitor General, is to instruct him immediately for them to go to the department. We have a department called Directorate of Civil Litigation. That is the one that should have the list, and because you have said how many have been won, how many have been lost, and what is the current status? This was your first question.
Yeah, but I'm surprised. You are plotting something. We need to now right the wrongs we have been having in custodian board, because it's quite absurd. Because the secretary custodian board, we have been putting that question to him several times, and was referring to us how the attorney general don't respond. Because now the cases before me, I'm seeing we have 80, we have 90 according to where we have moved and what we have. Well, we have 98 cases. Those who are still pending under custodian board. We're saying
pending, Chairman, sorry, pending in court?
Yes, pending in court. They are here, they can either. And saying we have a list of 11 cases, those which have been concluded in favor, and only 6 cases, those are the one concluded in favor of custodian board. But even when you look into all these, those which have concluded in favor of custodian board, you find that custodian board, there are individuals, those allocatees, those who went in court, they battled it up, and you find that they applied. We are in court, we are battling it up, but the government has not come up to help us. These are government properties, we know, we are allocatees, but we are seeing these people are taking the properties. Whenever I ask them, they tell us the attorney general doesn't respond.
That's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm answering now. And in my office, the technical head is the Solicitor General. The Solicitor General is the technical head of all in this case, Civil Litigation Department. I'm telling you, the department that deals a lot with the custodian board is called DLAS, Directorate of Legal Advisory Services. It's also under the headship of the Solicitor General. And many of your questions, there's another question about, I think you said minute 9, 8th of 4th, 2010, you are talking about an assets register inconsistency.
But the issue I wanted in that was the handover, because we are seeing there is a petition by the former executive secretary.
Yes, that's what I'm answering. Yes. Chair. Because you have asked so many questions, if you allow me to answer.
Please.
There were many, and you want the answers from me.
Yes.
So, and I'm giving them to you. But if you you must listen to the answers, because I'm just giving you the answers to help the work of the committee. That matter of Captain Bernard Shaw as well, it is a matter that has crisscrossed so many times between the office of the minister and my office, and it has been basically on opinions about whether his termination has been legal or not. I think it has been, when I joined the government in the second half of 2016, I found that matter still subsisting, and we have been having exchanges with the Honorable Matia about it. I think he was not handing over in the proper way. So, sometimes he would come and say that I have got files, etc. The Honorable Matia would write to us, we would write back our opinion about the validity or the lack thereof of his contract. We have been writing the letter. I don't remember the last letter.
Because the letter now is before us, we want to know how you conclude the matter.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Can I compliment you?
Yes.
Attorney General. On the 9th of May 2016, I wrote to Bernard, termination of your services. Let me read the letter fully, and we shall submit you. This is to inform you that the Board of Directors, during their 9th meeting that was held on the 5th of May 2016, resolved to terminate your services effective 5th May 2016. You'll be paid all your salary arrears due to you. You'll also be paid the equivalent of 1 month's salary in lieu of notice. Please provide details of your bank account to Mr. Sam Malay, the Acting Executive Secretary, to facilitate payment. You are requested to hand over all custodial board and any government property in your possession to the Permanent Secretary, Secretary of Treasury. You are also requested to prepare and submit a handover report to the above named person. I take this opportunity to thank you and so forth. So really, we issued this letter having debated that this gentleman was no longer relevant. He could not be able to serve because there were so many controversies with him, with my staff, so the best thing was to terminate his services so that he hands over. Now, of course, he disputes this one. He says, no, you can't terminate. His letter of appointment does not specify what period, actually what period we must give him, but according to the regulations that govern this body, 1 month notice is normally given to any officer whose services are supposed to be terminated.
Honorable Chair, did he hand over?
No, he didn't hand over at all, because you remember, Mr. Chairman, there was even the question of the staff. You remember when we had started?
Yes.
He did not have this, he was still holding on to the staff. He
now
never handed
the
over.
legal opinion of the attorney, so that we can also confirm how we can respond to that, because they consider he didn't hand over, despite having all the participants.
Was he paid or was he not paid?
He was paid fully.
Can we have that letter and also the letter which shows that he was paid fully?
What the evidence?
And the evidence was that?
No, but Mr. Chairman, only what Mr. Chairman remember. At one time we was here with that gentleman, and they were disputing the amount between the ministry and himself. And I thought we said that they should try and harmonize it, if you can remember what it was.
You know, in matters of this type, you know, documents really were, I must admit, this Custod board issue was mishandled some time back. But we paid him his 66 million shillings, which was based on, which was the balance, because he was being paid. But there was money because of lack of cash, I think. Yes, I think that I remember. Because of lack of liquidity within the organization, it went accumulating until we were able to assemble that money and pay him 66 million shillings. That was balance of what he was claiming in terms of the years of service and so forth.
But Chairperson, as a senior civil servant, and you know that handover is one of the key issues. Up to now, since you terminated Benadi's contract, you even went ahead to pay his emoluments,
his
arrears, minus him handing over. What does that signify?
Well, I think that's the point. I don't know. Why did we, you hear what the chairman is asking? Why did we pay this money without him preparing a hand?
No, that is that's a legal thing which I will be comfortable
to hear from the Attorney General.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether Honorable Kasaidia had over a woman when we had that gentleman, and this committee asked him to hand over stamp, I think, and files. And you remember what we exchanged, but eventually, I thought that gentleman handed him certain things.
Sorry?
I thought that gentleman handed him the stamp, either to the committee of the assets and some files.
I think he did.
He handed the stamp in the committee, which is in custody of our clerk. But members have requested that we allow Attorney General, because we asked a lot of issues and because he has other arrangements. So to respond to this, then if we still have time, we can. If not, then we can send questions to him. And
thank you, members. Thank you, and I really appreciate this. First of all, I want to help my senior colleague, Honorable Seija. This relationship with Bernard Shaw, I found it boiling even before I joined the office. And throughout my tenure in office, he has kept on trying to push this. I think he's pushing for a compensation of $1 billion or something. Is it? For him, he's pushing for a billion. Me, I don't know what his salary was, and that's what I think the Honorable Matthias paid. But he's really pushing for a bigger number. You get those type of clients or those type of litigants who always feel that they can twist. So there's been a lot of correspondence. He would write to my office, for example, and say in my memory, because by the way, and as I've told this committee before, because of the structure of my office, which is got a lot of work, as a matter of fact, we have a division of labor. There are certain areas that are handled by the Deputy Attorney General, certain areas which in any case technically are only handled by the Solicitor General. Now, the Custodian Board, first of all, in fact, and apologetically, I never used to attend the meetings of the Custodian Board. Not because of anything, but because they required somebody with institutional memory. Somebody with the institutional memory of the Custodian Board, who used to be that gentleman, Gash, used to be the one with the institutional memory. Anyway, back to the issue of that Captain Bernard Shaw. He used to push for a bigger amount, and we would write to the finance, and finance would tell us there is no basis. I think he threatened to sue a couple of times. Did he actually go to court? I don't think so. Which shows me that maybe he had a reluctance because he was not sure of the quantum of his claim, I think. So he used to use basically arm twisting, rights to me, rights to Mattia. Then I send an opinion to the Honorable Mattia, and so on and so forth. But again, the Solicitor General would be in a better position to give the actual details. What I know for sure, there have been correspondence with this man, about 10. That's for sure, because he's always writing, and he approaches higher office. You know, they ring you, why don't you resolve? Then you say, as a matter of law, you can't give somebody any authorization unless it is legal. Basically, it's just as simple as that. I write to finance, they say we are finished with this man. So he has been, and you are telling me now that he was holding some equipment of the Custodian Board. They are that category of litigants.
But Attorney General, the issue of handover, we want you to give us your opinion on the issue of handover, because they went ahead.
What is the question
they
about handover?
To pay the gentleman what they think it was due to him. But the person, since the termination date, he never handed over. He never handed over the office.
Okay.
The question is, and when we are moving in, the reason as why we had to ask for a stamp, the seal, because when we are moving in, we could find some documents where the custodian, the current executive secretary would deny that these are not my documents, but it is a seal of Custodian Board. So until we had to enforce him to submit the seal before the committee. But the question is, he keeps on like now writing the way how he said. He said he didn't hand over, and the ministers accepted that he never handed over. What is the effect of that for someone to leave the office and not handed over?
The effect is that he is holding on to whatever he is holding on to illegally, and for the accounting office that paid him, they should have engaged the police to have him forcefully return the property.
So are you going to advise them to do that?
Because I have not been, if they were to ask me, for example, had it been a result of a court session, had it been, and then therefore I would have had a court order, and therefore I would have given the court order to the police to ensure that he hands over. But as I have already told you, this man has either deliberately or for whatever reason, he has not gone to court for enforcement. He has only been doing it by correspondence. Now, so therefore, my view is they should have enforced it by getting to the authority to tell him to hand over.
That comes back to the chairperson of the board. Having heard what the Attorney General presented, and this issue has been dragging on after he has never handed over. And he went ahead and then gave him the what and paid his emolument.
Maybe let me ask my Attorney General. When an employee is terminated but he continues masquerading. Wouldn't it be appropriate to take him to court? Come and take him to court so that the matter is conclusively done through court process?
Yeah, that's you, sir.
Well, the question is, the Attorney General, if you tell me, if you ask me that I need to take action against this man for this reason and that reason and that reason, then I would advise you to do so. I need to be informed somewhat how to. And remember, I've already said that I have requested the attendance. In fact, it is what I'm going to advise when I close. My advice was going to be, my technical officer, and is the equivalent of the PS of the Ministry of Justice. It's a Solicitor General stroke PS. He is both the accounting officer in terms of all matters finance in our ministry. Also, is the legal advisor, technical, as defined by law, and he's the one, when you talk to me about, I think the honorable member was talking about the Auditor General's report, it is the Solicitor General who interacts directly with the Auditor General and replies item by item. For example, there is a question that has been raised of 1 billion, I think, but a payment, but a payment became 6 billion. Somebody asked the Honorable Kasha, remember? Yes. For example, that one, it would take 5 minutes for the Solicitor General to say it is true or it is even not true, because he interacts directly with the Auditor General. And I can also assure you, the interaction, because of the nature of our ministry, the interactions with the Auditor General are continuous, because there is always issues because of the nature, I'm saying, just because of the nature of our ministry, because our ministry deals with awards, court awards, compensations, etc. So, to answer the question which was about that Bernard, that was my answer. The police should be involved. And like I have told you, that Captain Bernard has not gone to court to obtain an award, at least not that I'm aware of, an award of...
Attorney General, through the chairperson, I think the Mama Juru, who is a member of the SGR committee, being that he has institutional memory, he had all his answers were saying what maybe he has something to raise to sort this thing out. Mama Juru.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. On the matter of Bernard wrote to the Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia, and the Minister removed the letter back to the Brazilian board. In that letter, the Minister instructed us to calculate how much was due to them, and to calculate it together with the late Okelo, and Bernard was paid. Now, after that payment was paid, even that letter is at my desk now as we speak. Even last week I came with it now. Here. Now, after Bernard was paid, then after a few months, he started bringing now those big bills. I think the first one was 1.3 billion. Then another time it was 900 million. Then I think also 1.4 billion. Then he came to our office. When he came, he told us, we asked him, Bernard, this bill is for what? That it is for duty facilitating allowance. When he worked in Custodian board, he was never paid his allowances, these field trips and so forth. So we asked him with the letter Okelo. We said, Bernard, how long did you stay in Custodian board? And how much were you being paid? So that you present for us a bill to that tune. Because those of us who have worked for ages in Custodian board, even if we put our allowances together, cannot even reach half of that. How many times have we been going to the field? What have we really done? Where are the reports before we can pay you? If you give us some reasonable something, probably we can go and talk to our minister, and something can be considered for you. But a bill of 900 million, 500 billion, you want in Custodian only for about 2-3 years, how did you accumulate that? But despite giving Bernard all those explanations, he just continued writing, continued threats. Sometimes he will come there and shout at us, do all kinds of things. So that is the situation of Bernard. Bernard was paid his salaries, ordered by the Minister of Finance. After payment of his salary, we thought we would have them paying everything that I had received to the Custodian board. Instead, the tune changed, started giving us those big bills. We asked him, please, this bill is too much. How many years did you work in the Custodian board? How many times did you go out? Where are the reports? When you go out into the field, there must be a report against which you are paid. Where are they? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think based on what the Attorney General advised and what the chairman of the board has presented, really it seems that the issue of ironing out this issue of penalty totally lies to the chairperson of the board, because having received all that you paid and you have left the issue to proceed to cause unnecessary attentions, which I think it gives a bad image to the agency. So I think as the Attorney General advised, the committee will also direct you to take that route so that you can clear this once and for all, instead of every day you receive petitions, you receive this on something which you can ably handle, which doesn't need the attention of the prosecutor.
Mr. Chairman, have tried yet to close it. Bernard was my friend. I used to back him when I was in internal affairs. I think now maybe I will write a letter to the Attorney General for him to take up this matter in court. We take a Bernard for misrepresenting, first of all, from still assuming that he's still an employee of the organization when actually he was terminated. Maybe that's what now needed to be done.
Mr. Chairman, I think if Bernard has decided to misbehave, and I had here he was misusing the stamp when he was not in the office, you just state a few cases and write him or this and him and take you to court.
No, even if that one is not
that you have a strong position, you stop.
I think even if they don't go into all that trouble, because now they can't get it, because now the stamp is with the committee, which shall submit it to official to the I think we should be done.
Mr. Chairman, you see, as a committee, we have been interacting with stakeholders. And when the chair is sitting on Bernard's case, he also came here and gave his opinion. Because we are doing our investigation, so we can give a clear position. Now that it has come to you, you are the chairman of the board, and your board members are here. You sit in the board and make the resolution and handle the matter. So we don't know our committee.
So as a point of advice, then
okay, we shall review the case in our board meeting.
What question is?
The next step we have get about it.
What we shall get to clarify, this is a committee that is with the accountability. Honorable Bernard didn't hand over the seal. He only handed over the stamp. The seal is the court. Secondly, Honorable Chair, Bernard does not dispute having him paid his salary arrears. But what Bernard is branding is claiming for unpaid wages and a gratuity, and also personal property. And that's what.
So can you submit those documents which proves that Bernard did you paid him an international tax at the same time, so that's also.
When we share that will leave of this committee.
No, I submit to the committee, we shall make our copy and give you your copies.
Mr. Chairman, if I will ask one simple question. When you are Bernard?
Oh, it's right over there. The voucher is over there. The voucher is there.
Yes, because I can see Bernard 7 of 2016, the board approved salary arrears of Captain Bernard. That we resolved that he should be paid from the collection account. And then, regarding this behavior, I think it was 11 of 2017, the board also resolved that Mr. Ben, this the masquerading and what not, the board resolved today that Mr. Ben be published. Did you publish?
I had already answered
He's no longer an employee of the board.
Yeah,
Yes,
I had
because
asked
it
him
was
because
the
I'm
resolution
going to
of the
the
board.
parliament.
That was done. That was done.
So I'm flexible.
You have
and I want
evidence for
to
that?
finish there. You come and see.
You can adduce, we have it.
What do you
So we
think?
think we direct you to use that evidence by tomorrow at midday to our clerk, so that it will help us to conclude that matter in our recommendation.
Thank you.
Attorney General,
Please, you
proceed.
pass here, please. You pass by. Thank you. Sorry.
We know the office.
Yeah, if you allow me, honorable member, sorry, with due respect, this matter of Bernard, you will find a lot of difficulty in resolving it, because it is the most consistent matter that has come. But my issue is, as I was saying, if somebody feels that he has been unfairly disadvantaged, normally he tries administratively. When he fails administratively, what happens? He goes to a court. 4 years now, but he is not going to a court. The answer might be there.
Yes.
He's not going to. I'm just saying, just as a word of advice. I know you are obliged to listen to everybody, but this issue of Bernard, if the minister is showing to you that he has paid, I have already told you that Bernard has written to me maybe 10 letters, very long ones, even come to see me physically. Now this, you tell Honorable Matthias, but you have to follow the law. Either you are owed or you are not owed. So anyway, that's about Bernard. Now, Auditor General's report, Mr. Chair. I had already sort of alluded to it, the 1 billion which became 6 billion. That's only one issue. Another issue, properties redeemed by government to the tune of 85 properties. You were saying, sir, and then you said 81 titles are still with the custodian board. Then you are saying 9 properties. Yeah. I think, member from Mitoma, you talked about Bat Katurebe's when he was AG, properties that were fully compensated by GOU, by the government, and therefore owners had no right to repossess. I think I don't know whether it was you said in Masaka, in Mbarara, you went, you found people who got repossession certificates. Then you said custodian board has 84 titles, but they were redeemed, and aren't we losing them?
They have papers. On the face of it, they have papers. But when we went in the field, you could find they have a certificate, paper here, but people that have turned those properties into a freehold. They already, people that have taken over those properties. So we are looking at what is the legal opinion there, because the properties were redeemed by the government, and the custodian board, in the face of it, they have titles in their own roads, but in the physical aspect, when you go on the ground, there are individuals who took those properties and have changed from leasehold to freehold.
And yet custodian board has the title.
Has these titles.
So you wanted to say something?
No, I'm just amazed.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I'm just amazed about the fraudulence.
you are just
I have nothing to comment.
the Honorable Mattia, you are living in Rome, but you don't know what Romans are doing. And you are not very young, so you should know better. Now, Honorable Chair, here is my proposal, and that is why, as I have said already, I was asking the secretary. Then there was another one, certificates which were withdrawn, so that I can bring all of them together. Because you even depicted the numbers, plot 38, plot 1 Kampala Road, plot 92, plot 5 William Street, and so on and so forth, and others. Then you also talked about plot 6 repossessed and approved, repossession not approved, then they went to court, whereas they had been compensated. I think that's what you were saying.
Currently, when you invited them, they went to court.
Yes.
They are in court, but we don't know
Legal implications you're asking. Then you talked about properties under Diamond Trust Bank, 54 properties.
55 properties.
55. Then you talked about mortgages which were redeemed.
Yeah.
You said mortgages were redeemed.
There are some properties which the other secretary took charge to redeem. That was on 31st. It was made a requisition for that purpose on 31st May 2006, and those properties were released. Those were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. But you don't see them under the redeemed property.
Now, Mr. Chair, if you permit me, I have a word of advice on how to resolve these issues. Because you can see the issues in question are many. If this committee will now direct or say that Mr. Executive Secretary, is it Executive Secretary or Chairman? Executive Secretary comes to my office and I will direct the Solicitor General, and we have two officers, Fadil, is it the one who was sick today? Rubega? Fadil Rubega, and Mawanda, and my Solicitor General, and the Executive Secretary of the Custodian Board, and maybe somebody from your committee, a secretary, maybe. And these properties which you have question marks on are all listed, all of them listed. This is the 55 you're talking about, listed. The issue against it, this particular property, what is the issue against it? This particular property, like the ones you are saying, they are title deeds, yet there are different people in the property. You list them. Then this Executive Secretary, the Solicitor General with his two people, a secretary from your place, then the Solicitor General, on each item, provide a response. On each item. Because, of course, now I am of no use to you in that context, because the properties you have said, there are many and they are differently categorized, differently categorized. But this matter of Custodian Board has been, for so long, there are no final resolutions.
You see, the reason we have put it to you, because when we asked the Executive Secretary, he presented before us the letters which he has written to you. First was dated 26 April 2018. Can I look at it? Another one, it was written on 29th June 2018 and was received by your office. Can look at it. And we are saying that despite all that, they have not got any response from there. So we are skeptical that maybe the good thing now you have added that we should include our person here to be part of the
and had you told me that you were going to present me letters which were written to me, I would have now told my people to look for letters for which we responded. For sure, I would have had the... Okay, but that's what I'm saying now. That's a matter of fact, because I am saying, had I known, because I do like a million things. So now, but they are there. For sure, there have been responses. I am not sure, in particular. There's a lot of letter writing, but there have been. May I?
I just want to comment on what the is proposing. It's a good idea. But what is worrying me, Mr. Chairman, as we all know, what it again just samples. It's the Attorney General and board member satisfied that what he said is enough. What the Auditor General wrote is enough. Or as a board member would think, we get his staff to check everything. Because Auditor General just samples.
I I
I think, Honorable Member, the opinion in that category, that means if you work on those properties, even what you will discover, they will always proceed with that opinion because it will be on the same category as the DEC would have given the opinion. Can proceed with this response.
Thank you. And my issue is, the member is saying that the Auditor General, because I don't know, maybe you are removing from the sample of the Auditor General's report. So there might be more than one item. So all I am saying, after you have done that, you designate a time frame. Basically, it's, you say, look, by this date, you people come back. We want, it's the only way. It is dishonest for me to tell you that I'm going to answer to you now these 55 properties. This one, I did this, I don't know. The replies, had you told me, come with all the replies which you gave to Custodian Board, I would have brought them. We have 3 big boxes on file for Custodian Board. So, and as you know, the Custodian Board issues controversy started from the mid-90s, I think. And Mr. Chair, there is this case which creates some issues between the office of the Custodian Board and our chambers. The case which designated that after the minister has issued a repossession certificate, he has no more powers to deal with it. I'm sure members, you are familiar with the landmark Supreme Court case, which said in that case you can only have that thing reversed at the in a court of law, and it's not a reversed case. So all I am saying is for the board to get the most useful response, in my opinion, is to have the executive secretary, the solicitor general, a member from your committee, maybe a secretary, and then those cases, and they will be responded to one by one, and you just give a time frame, say for argument's sake a fortnight, because in that way, for example, for the cases which you are saying that they are in the cover, you will get a clear view of what is it, and is it true, and is there fraud. And maybe this will help me, or whoever the incoming Attorney General will be, for you Parliament to help us to expand the Department of Civil Litigation. Because you just imagine the number of cases that our Civil Litigation Department has to deal with per year. For example, let me just take an example. There are the regular cases against the government for breaches of contract. People say you have breached contract, they take you to court. There are now cases you are saying like of Custodian Board, which in the late 90s and in the 2000s were coming a dime a day. Next January or February, you will know we are going to be in court on petitions. So many. And I have got about, how many lawyers are there approximately in this year? Sorry? 34 lawyers. You can just imagine. I mean, I'm talking in the context of amount of work vis-a-vis ability to, and law is not a game. You know, it is not that you just go there and you talk. You have to go, you have to read. You have to read the other guy's case. Like Mr. Bernard Shaw, he writes letters of 82 pages. 82 on average. And you have to read all of it, then you respond. So I'm just saying that exercise might even help me, or of course by the next, because you people are going for elections, the incoming, so that you support specifically that Department of Civil Litigation, because the government is sued on everything. Honorable member, you know it. Everything the government is sued, every single thing, and the department is a bit weak. That is not to say that they shouldn't answer. They are obliged to answer, and the Solicitor General will. And he's our technical head. It's like Honorable Matia. There are many questions you'll ask him here. He will say, where is Muhakanizi? Where is Muhakanizi? Because it is Muhakanizi, then I don't know, a director, in that triangular fashion of how our offices are run. Me and Honorable Matia, we go to cabinet on a Monday. We spend the whole day there. Yesterday, we were in a meeting with the president from 11 to 5. yesterday was Tuesday. I was with him and 2 other ministers. Tomorrow we have a meeting there from 6. As a matter of real fact, we need, these questions can only be answered by that technical officer, who in any case, it is under him that they come. So that's my proposition, sir, to you, in order to get, and then they come specifically on those issues, because you have all the facts, and they require to be answered. I agree with you that they require to be answered.
Mr. Chairman.
That's what I would think.
Mr. Chairman, I listen very carefully to Honorable Arwanga, and what he says is correct. However, what he's telling us is what he should be doing. You should outsource if you are very seen on the ground. You make proposals, structures. You may have lawyers who have been secretary, just waiting to be given a job. You don't have to go through the whole process. If the work is too much, you outsource. You cannot depend.
Thank you, Honorable Member, but Mr. Chairman, and with due respect to my colleague, the Honorable Member, unlike life in the private sector, I am not allowed to outsource under the law. I can assure you, I have so many cases where I would have immediately, had I had the power to outsource, I would have outsourced immediately. And sir, another thing, and you ought to know this, even assuming that I could outsource, the depth of the case is such that the other lawyer out is going to tell me I want a deposit of 200 million shillings, and actually my fee is 800 million. But my Gash here, his salary is about 6 or 7 million or 4 or 5. I'm just telling you the truth. We're not allowed to outsource, first of all. Even if we were allowed to, we would be incapable of affording. Incapable, even if we were allowed to. Incidentally, Honorable Member, since I came into office, I have lost 11 members who have gone to that very group which you are telling me to outsource from, because they are good lawyers, but my salary is minuscule. And there is a lady who hurt me. She was such a very good lawyer. She went to a law firm and she wrote to me a resignation. And she knew I was not going to allow, so she refused. I told my secretary I want a meeting with her. She refused to come. But she left the resignation. Because we were paying her 3 million, those people made her a partner and are paying her 28 million net. You know, net and gross? Net. So, sir, outsource I would love, but I am constrained by the law. That's why this gentleman seated next to me, if they can increase the number of my lawyers, and he also does, you know what he normally does when he can, I would be very happy. I'm just that one we are just talking as a by the way, but that would have been my advice.
Let me not hope that because the entity follows exactly under him and is the one who has not done what is the best to be done. That's the reason as to why the things are going to be how they are going. But that was just a word of.
Then another thing, Mr. Chairman. Of course, there are some things which you tell me which are very alarming. For example, you have said plot 24 Kampala Road. Somebody went to court and under Justice Mulangira, you have just said, and he won. And you have said he should appeal. Did the Attorney General appeal or not, or what? Under judicial review, that is alarming to me when I'm hearing it from here. So, Gash, please, I want you to take note of this particular one and have the person give me a report about this very afternoon. Because if there is an irregularity even in the judicial system, because I'm not sure, say if, then it is a type of matter that one can take up with the principal judge or with the whoever. So, honorable members, for me, I am just saying, you see, the questions that you are asking are very pertinent and with really quite serious implications if the allegations are true. And it is only fair for you to get the right answers, you know, the right answers, so that you hold us to account, so that, you know, you hold whoever is responsible to account. Because although I'm saying that I am short on staff, those who go to the courtroom must account about what happened in that case and did we lose it, and is all the facts that you have, are they true or false? I'm just saying, because that exercise that I'm proposing, I think would answer that. For example, just because you are the ones who raised it, that issue of Bernard Shaw, if you met him alone and he told you the injustice that he has suffered, you might believe him if you met him alone. If you meet the other side, they will tell you, like the lady explained to us, you will hear, another side of the story. So sometimes these issues require both parties to be present, but in this case, in the cases that you have just shot out to me, it needs facts, the facts to be brought to the committee. That's what I would kindly request.
Members, I think being that really we can't get the conclusive answer on this, and it's a partner because we need to make a decision. For instance, we find that the money which the Parliament is paying at Lot 1 Parliamentary Avenue, and if you see the certificate was used on, which means that the property belongs to the government, and they are paying all that money to someone outside. So I think these are patent issues, as the AG has responded, which need to be handled in a manner which we feel that can get a conclusive answer, that we can make a decision on the same. And we are...
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt you. You see, we can't allow for government to be robbed.
Yeah.
We shouldn't allow the country to be robbed. If there is suspicion on any case, you are mentioning that plot, Parliamentary Avenue, where we have offices. And we are paying somebody, the government is paying somebody who we think is legitimately owning that property. That matter must be pursued to the final conclusion. All we need is evidence from him. We will debate it in the board and then refer the matter to the Solicitor General if it needs be to go to court.
Chairperson of the board, I'm sorry that because of our time schedule, and we have been with your team since we started this investigation for the last 1 year, and all these issues, we have mentioned them more than 10 times. We cannot again sit to wait for the board, which spends almost 1 year without sitting, and you have a duty to write a report, and we hand it over to the floor of Parliament. So I will not take that of waiting for you, but rather I will take the Attorney General's advice of choosing a date, if they can, between 2nd and 5th of November, then
I think
these are a lot of days.
Mr. Chairman,
we can make it between 2nd.
You're saying he's right, give it to 12th. Because, Honorable Chair, you see, Honorable Chair, I am hard pressed to tell you that these offices, that as a matter of fact, they are up to here. Up to here, I'm not exaggerating. This Solicitor General could be the busiest PS in this country. In fact, I think he is. I'm just stating facts. However, having said that, the matters you have raised are pertinent. They should be answered. So if you say 4th or 5th and then he's coming here again with excuses, I want you to give us a date, and fortunately his deputy is here, and he will know that it is not me, but it is the committee. And then they will sit with this man and they do their own timetable, and they will bring you back all the facts as you desire them.
Because, Attorney General.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you feel the way you feel, we also feel it, because we wouldn't have moved all this far. But you reach a time, for instance, let me give you an example. We have members of the society who holds 1,200 properties, 600 properties. Some are senior leaders. 600 or 400 properties, and we have invited them several times, but have refused to come. Others have opted to run out of the country, thinking that the committee has a specific time. By the time they will come back, the committee would have winded up with their duties. So, with that, and what you have said,
Mr. Chairman, let me understand you very well. You are compiling a report to go to plenary.
yes.
My suggestion, these issues which you think government must take action, I would suggest that in that report, these issues are raised.
But we can't raise them when we don't have the legal opinion of the Attorney General, because we have them here. The issue is we have redeemed properties. We have what certificates of
Possession.
Certificate in issue of repossession certificates. We have issue on certificates which were withdrawn. We have issues of where the bank refused to succumb to our request of providing those properties. All those needs the Attorney General to come in. It helps you, it helps the committee that we are going to report the facts. That this was based on this based on the Attorney General's intervention and opinion. I think this is what the committee can recommend. We can't give a recommendation when we don't know. So that's the reason we want to interact. I agree with the Attorney General that we should create a time. And according to our clerk, it is between 2nd and the 12th. Though me, I wanted by around 7th, but that one.
And sir, if you can even mention the members. I think the executive secretary.
Yeah. So now members on that issue, all the issues pertain that sector of legal in what we have or have seen and we have heard.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm giving a committee of 3 people. I think the boardroom can accommodate the 3 people from Parliament and executive secretary to sit with the technical staff, look into that matter.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to intervene, but I think we are spreading our legs too much. That work is from the other side. Let us submit the people from our side to them. The other people will be that meeting, it is up to them.
No, for me, that's the same thing I'm trying to do. I'm not going to be under. That's the same thing I'm trying to do. Our clerk, Mr. Pio, Honorable Kaponda, should be around.
I would do.
You are unopposed, so.
Mr. Chairman, I
What should be around during between 2nd and 12th?
But Mr. Chairman, I would propose that that responsibility is immediately taken from the maybe you can add on our legal, the clerk and the legal team joins them.
Okay, clerk to Parliament, to our committee,
And the legal gentleman.
secretary to our committee, and myself.
Yes.
Because I did do a lot of investigation on this, which even the executive secretary did know, and you so I need to know exactly how we would respond to that, and I inform the committee on that between 2nd and 12th. So clerk, you can liaise with the team to help us handle that. So with that, I think other issues, pending issues which we feel we cannot handle here, we can handle that. In another issue which I think is a pertinent is the legal opinion in relation to properties which Kampala District Land Board has dealt in. Because in our interface with Kampala District Land Board, we found that more than 200 properties were dealt in wrongly according to the law. They are not supposed to deal with custodial board properties, but they went ahead and dealt in those properties, over 200 properties, and they considered before the committee that they did dealt in them in error. What is the effect of that? What is the opinion?
Why didn't you send them to prison? you are saying they are conceded to you, then, and you have a policeman here, you should have, by virtue of admission, you should have taken them.
So with the guidance, when the committee meets with you, we shall have, then we can make a recommendation on that. With because members, I told you about the request of the Attorney General as we start this, before starting this meeting.
Yeah, but Mr. Chairman, there are issues I think that may not be for the team that you have prosecuted. Because like getting his opinion on the compensated properties and then the owners went ahead to repossess. Even if we don't have the list, you can have his opinion. The list of the properties that were redeemed and then people went ahead to own them and they have legal title. And I'm also seeking his opinion on the repossession period. The gazette that was published vis-a-vis the repossession certificates that were issued even up to 2014.
People are still possessing.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that.
May I have an answer, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
My colleague. Really, if somebody goes against the law, what is the course of action?
But the issue is, if I may ask the chairperson of the board,
Yes.
these properties are being given by the ministers, by your office, by your executive secretary. The position certificate signed by you, the minister, not the deputy, not the secretary, but the minister. So where you have signed those reposition certificates as a minister, why would you
Signing a certificate of the possession of a property that had already been
beyond 1993 as per the law?
Yeah, he has just pronounced himself that that person should be taken to jail. So I'm looking for somebody in the
No, let me
uniform
finish up your statement.
so that the help
That party, those who have given the position outside the law.
That's why I wanted to help the minister. You see, in matters legal, before because you make a commitment now which could lead you not back to finance but to CPS. The issue is that document that the honorable member has read, is there another statutory instrument that may have overridden it?
Yes, that's the question.
It might be there. I'm not saying it is there. I'm saying it might be there. And because he has read to us something which is in his possession, and he says Honorable Mayanja Nkanji did X, Y, and Z. I don't know whether Honorable Suruma, who came after, reversed it or not. I'm saying I don't know. That's why I'm saying, you see, in this type of an interaction, it is very difficult to have an immediate. Now he has even a copy of that document. There might be a document that, I don't know, there might be a document that reversed it. Sorry, there might be a document that reversed it. I don't know.
For instance, now, in the situation that there was no document reversing that, what would be your opinion?
Yes, okay. For example, from what he's saying, if somebody has been compensated for this, that means this reverts to the compensator. If it remains with that person, that is illegal. If the person has been compensated, as per the value, that's why we do valuations. You say we have taken over somebody's property. Oh, he wants compensation. It means the government has taken the thing. We can't compensate the man and the man remains with the property. But if he does, it is illegal. That's the short answer. So now, as to whether that document was the last document that pronounced itself on this matter, my answer is I don't know. My answer is that you have to find that out. Was that the last document that pronounced itself? Because if it is, then as the chairman has told you, all your predecessors, because if the chairman is saying, and the honorable member from Mitoma, if they are saying that there have been subsequent repossessions ministerially authorized, and it's against the law, then it means those ministers were at fault. That's what it would mean.
That's what it would mean.
Yeah. So all I am saying, if that is the last pronouncement, there is an issue which we need to answer. If it isn't, I don't know. That's what we need to find out.
Yes, we want to leave the Attorney General. We've got other issues. My neighbors, we have a lot of issues. A good thing that the Attorney General answered almost 40% of the same.
So how have concluded this that the
No.
Solicitor General?
Also, that one, he has taken the question,
The
sir.
Solicitor General has taken all this.
And you can, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank
so
you,
that by the time we meet, during that period of time, we can evaluate. You have a copy? We should not take our thing, your trustee, 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 your trustee.
In custodial properties, and they have given people a chance to get freehold titles, and I think according to the law they are not supposed to be in the properties of custodian board. So we also want to know your opinion. We want your opinion on that. So you need to help us, especially Kampala here and Masaka where we visited. Those places are Mbarara Shia was not there, I know Masaka.
And so when you reach Numbale, reaching it, you could really see a failed entity. Go to Soroti, go to Mbale, go to Jinja, go to Masaka. Honorable Minister, if you reach there and you will know that you are not in charge of the board. I don't know whether your executive secretary doesn't brief you, but if he does, we would really appreciate that. The government has lost a lot. So with that, because what got the issue about
That's what I was telling you about the honorable member. Because I worked with Otafire. You might recall. Otafire was a minister of justice. Do you remember? I'm just joking. So. Okay.
Yeah, this is they are properties.
I was saying it was reminding me about politics come in Table.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So we talked about it and we're going to.
Yeah, there was a time when custodian board had no board of valuers. And in that time, all the properties that we are dealt with were valued by the chief government valuer. And they have got, I think, a legal effect in terms of the being disposed of. To my understanding, the government chief valuer actually oversees this board of valuers. But what is the effect in terms of transaction in the property that was valued by the chief government valuer, not the board of valuers, regarding the custodian board of properties? And to some extent, I understand maybe some transactions were halted because they were not valued by the
chief government valuer.
No, by the board of valuers. What is the legal effect of the properties that were valued by the chief government valuer?
I think that one, that is also can put it on among the questions which are supposed to be answered. And this one, I think, will be general. You will just give some advice on that. And also the minister, where you find that in towns, they just pronounced towns, like in Jinja, Masaka, Mbare, you find the custodian board properties. The people, the occupants of, excuse me, members, the occupants of those properties, custodian, they have allocations. You find someone have been with the allocation for over 20 years. For over 16 years. Now these are the city. Someone can't sell. He can't develop because normally when you see the allocations they give, somebody can't sell, can't develop. And now these are cities.
The allocations from custodian.
Yes. They can't sell, they can't develop, the properties are in a dire state. Why can't custodian board dispose of those properties here?
That is a good question.
Very good.
Because now these are city status. You find out a state wall of Ginger. The surroundings of state wall of Ginger, you can see is in Namuongo, our slums there in Namuongo, where I live, or in Katanga there. But now Katanga is no longer Katanga, is at least developed. So with that, I think you can, as we interact and continue, you can give in your view on that. But with that...
No, I can answer you, Mr. Chairman, on that one. Really, that's a failure. I would admit, that's a failure on our part. Because those properties, you know, rate of allocation is like a rental contract. Yes. When I allocate you, you are my tenant. They pay rent to this man.
Yes.
Now, and it is a custodian board property. It is the board now. If my executive secretary here were to mobilize us, we said he has been clamoring. We said let's say. So the fault is on myself and on here for not selling off those properties. The law is very clear. The occupant is supposed to be given first priority to buy on a price that has been fixed by the chief government value. If he is not unable, then we advertise for everybody, for anybody who can buy, and then we dispose of that. So really, that is failure on our part, I must admit. These properties should be, if you could help us by even listing them, then we shall put them on the market and then dispose of them.
And not helping listing them, we have them and the executive secretary has them. So on that issue, the executive secretary, you can, you have something to say?
Yes, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, whereas that is the status quo, we have allocations from the time of Malay and Bernard.
But the main allocation is?
The main allocations. Now the biggest value is, whereas we are desirous of disposing of the properties, some of these properties have litigations. They have encumbrances.
No, they are only, according to what, they are only 100 properties, which has encumbrances of court cases, only 100.
Yes.
The rest are free.
The rest are free
for disposal.
Those ones which are free of any encumbrances, we have the board of valuers have done their work. As we shall submit, we have the list of property which are still valuable.
Since the board of valuers, they were here, we invited them here. But since you appointed them, by the time we invited them, they had not done
a single property.
A single property.
They are missing one member.
No, they are asking. They have not given them facilitation to proceed to operation funds. That's what they raised here. In fact, let me tell you, even then, by the first contract, it elapsed of 4 months minus any work. Then you renewed the other contract. That is the truth. They were here. So this issue of saying they are doing their work, is not true.
Thank you.
We need to see the results.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know.
Even the property they have the governance, now that they are independent is there, you do something with the governance.
Want to remember that is why you have the organization that is actually running the show. This is the organization supposed to bring these matters to light. What can I do when the person who is on a day-to-day management, even if there are 100, the issue is, the chairman raised the issue of allocatees. They should do the whole list of the allocatees and then say X encumbered, Y encumbered, Z encumbered. But
And sincerely speaking, the government has lost a lot of money. the good thing we are going to accountability issues for the Attorney General, unless when we have other issues which are referred to the committee, we can put in place, which will interact with you, so that we can conclude our report and conclude our assignment as per the Parliament, that was by the terms of reference which was given by the Parliament. So you are free to proceed, to go to other issues. Let's continue interacting with the board members.
I thank you, Mr. Chair. I also thank the member of Mitoma and all the other honorable members. I'm going to deliver a message to Honorable Tafiri that I'm dying on his behalf.
Now, members, when we go to one of the issues of, I think Attorney General has touched most of the issue, the pertinent issues. Now we'll have to go to the issue of accountability. We don't see the other secretary here. Really perturbed. Yesterday, but now the other secretary who is supposed to respond to most of the issues is not around. Sometimes I get perturbed how the government you do run your issues. We have a time frame. You have not communicated to us. You have not done anything. You have not done anything. What is if we proceed and revoke some rules of procedure? We say our colleagues have done this. Honorable Minister, what do you think the committee will do?
Do you mind if I step out and then and check? Because I was expecting even the permanent secretary to follow me.
For the permanent secretary, it's okay because yesterday she asked for excuse and she submitted a document in write-up, which we said it's okay. But for other secretary, you are supposed to respond to a lot of issues. But then accountability.
Can you give me a few minutes? Then I come back.
Please.
Thank you.
Members are here for 2 minutes for the minister to proceed with the other secretary, then proceed. Thank you.
As far as the details are concerned, the technical details, they will be handled by the Solicitor General because they are under the authority of the Solicitor General. And the Solicitor General is legally empowered, legally, not even by me telling him. It's actually the job of the Solicitor General because he heads our technical. So they will look at it and then they will come back with a response.
You've talked about having limited number of lawyers operating.
Yes, I have a very limited number of lawyers working in my Department of Civil Litigation. Limited number of lawyers, and at the appropriate time, I will be asking the Cabinet to increase the number of people because there are so many cases. You can see these are custodian board cases. Soon we are going to have election petitions. We have people suing government day and night. So of course my department is very short on personnel.
Is it one of the reasons that why government is losing cases?
Of course it is. It must be one of the reasons because we have few members and so many cases. So sometimes you find that one lawyer has to deal with about 7 cases. So of course that means that you are thin on the ground, and the results sometimes go against the government.
How about the payment? Is it okay, the salary?
But that's a discussion for another day. Kiddamu kubanga ye yajo kubiddamu kubanga biri technical yajo biddamu
ensonga y'abaloyo gambe n'abaloyo 34 oluzinze 10
nyina 34 in that department, civil litigation, which is very few for the number of cases that I have to face every day. It is very few. Batono nnyo kubenani yetaaze okukola omulimu.
Akakiiko kemulugunyizza ku ngeri district land boards ezeefunzaamu ettaka lyali ly'abayindi nga omwazi wa gavumenti ku byamateeka kirina okuba nga kikolebwa.
Ngenda mu ofiisi okukibuuliriza kiki ekyaliwo mu district land boards ki okwenkanawo, then bambuulire, then bajje wano baddemu abaana ba committee.
singa wabaawo
tetumanyi amateeka togamanyi kajja bakwata.
And his number, mobile number, is not on. I have tried to reach the other secretary, the retired other secretary who is knowledgeable of these issues. She's not picking my phone. So I need your guidance. What do I do?
Members,
Somebody has been summoned and has failed to appear. What do I do?
now, before the members can intervene, now put yourself, now let the witness side, let it be to us, what would you do in such a situation? We have moved, we have done everything, we have invited you, they have been here, they know a lot of things for them to respond, and they knew that they're supposed to be here, and they're not here, and the committee is not a permanent committee. We had a schedule, and we want to conclude this. It's for the good of us, the good of the entity, the good of the government, the good of the country at large. What do you think we should do?
What I suggest, the clerk can write to them individually and give them the final day to appear. That's what I would suggest.
Because that final decision, honorable member, it's good you're a member of parliament who comes to the office, to elections, and you know the period where we are. We also want to go in our constituencies. We want to conclude this and go.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what I can do.
Members,
maybe.
wait, let's first listen to.
Mr. Chairman, it's really unfortunate.
No, I want Dr. Howard is here.
Who? Kasimbazi.
She was here yesterday.
Yeah.
Betty, we were supposed to appear before the consensus. Where are you?
Honorable, yesterday SPHC told me that they were meeting the board. And the fact that had a clear circle for outside this morning, I'm not sure what but the SP told me that they wanted to see the board.
No, they have seen the board today, but they are also wanting to see you. That's what they are telling me.
Because they know the only person who requested that was the permanent secretary, the PS.
Yes.
He the one who said he would not be able to appear.
Yes, it's not a PS.
Yeah.
And because he had submitted this and was not part of all what is happening here, more the key issues of accountability, we excused him.
So, Betty, you should have rang, if you thought you were unable, then you should have rang the chairman and informed him or the clerk that you cannot appear.
Honorable, I followed PS instructions. He said that we presented that accountability and things are not appearing to get through at the board. That's the instruction as well.
No, the minister was there.
Yes, I represented
What was the issue?
the issue was that the other sector was supposed to actually come back today, apart from the PS, because the PS was massively excused. But I think continue from here.
You have heard that, Betty? The committee was expecting you to return to the committee today.
Because we have not handled the issue of accountability and the pertinent issue in this.
We wish to understand the instruction because we got an impression that today we were not appearing with the PS. But I had also a problem. I had a severe attack also. Besides that. Let me check with the PS.
No, this is not about the PS. PS never signed the format. The PS never requested.
Okay, Betty, I appreciate your ill health, but I don't know. So you are saying you are not sure that you are not aware that you are supposed to appear before the committee today?
No, I could check with the PS. It says the committee.
PS said what?
Accountability. Today the meeting is okay. And I will meet them with my ill health that would have come. I've already carried it. That's the instruction I got.
So, Mr. Chairman, there has been miscommunication according to the Undersecretary. And the permanent secretary said, no, we don't have to go because...
Honorable Chairperson, where the PS requested that, and I remember I read the issues as to why I wanted the PS specifically. One, and I directed him to give us a report of General Kaigula's CIDs, whom he requested himself, which General Kaigula responded positively and gave him the CIDs to do investigation. So we requested the PS to submit, because he had submitted a partial document of what we needed from him. We requested him to send us that report, also the report of the CIDs, which emanates from that. The issue of accountability, we did go through it because you were not around. The chairman of the board were not around, we could not proceed with the issues of accountability. And we needed her here because the key person to respond to that. All these accounts, we are seeing 4 accounts here opening, tomorrow is opening, there's an opening, the other day is closing. You know, those are the issues. When we try to trace the 15 billion, it gets lost within those closing, opening. We needed that response. How are we going to report to the floor of Parliament how we have reached?
Can I make a suggestion, Mr. Chairman?
Please do.
Could I, she's hearing, she's on the line. Can she appear tomorrow?
I would request the members now, it's the members' decision to take, because really we are tired of this. And the people who would have helped us to conclude this thing, these are the people who are making us to delay. If I have to report to the Parliament that you have failed our thing, really we can also revoke some rules of procedure where members are curtailing to failing the committee to do its work. We can revoke that. And
may I since now this matter has come to my attention.
We can revoke that.
I would like to plead. I request and plead with the committee, let's give our one more opportunity, please. So that, because I think the PS must have also actually given her.
I think there was a miscommunication. Some miscommunication.
Yeah, so I think given her ill health, I request that you give her.
Or else for us, members, I think before, for us we have documentations which we have. If they have refused to come and respond to that, for us we can go ahead and make our recommendation.
No, Mr. Chairman, now that is in my hands, because I was not very clear who is supposed to come and who is supposed to come. So now that's in my hand, I will both the permanent secretary and the undersecretaries, they will be here with you.
So members, let's members tell us, then I conclude, I give a ruling on that.
Thank you, Chair. Issues of custodial board, they have been on our neck for almost a year now. And Betty Kasimvas is so pertinent on the issues regarding accountability, especially during the time when she was overseeing the activities of custodian board. The issues that were raised in Auditor General's reports, some of them she was responsible, she was requisitioning for funds, she was spending, and I don't think that we can be in a position to proceed without her. However, we are aware that the permanent secretary for whom he submitted and he requested the committee that due to some other engagements, the committee should excuse him, and the chairman cleared him that today, excused him that today he can be away. However, Mr. Chairman, accountability issues that were raised by the board, by the Auditor General, they are policy issues also. I'm of the opinion that we can proceed with the policy issues where the minister can answer, and the executive secretary, and the other board-related matters. And then issues regarding accountability. Since we have since you have already directed the Attorney General and his team to appear here on a date which you have actually, I think, not given, then
To appear here.
I thought that report is supposed to be presented here.
No, the committee has to interface with the technical team of custodian board, with the committee members, technical members. They need to meet together.
Yeah, regardless of that.
Then they will come and report.
Yes, I'm of the opinion that for today, we can interact with the board on policy issues. And then regarding critical issues of accountability, at that time we can even excuse the board. Can we interact with the executive secretary as an accounting officer, and then Betty Kasimbas and the right for us to proceed.
Thank you, members. Really, for the issue of Kasimbas, it won't be the first time, because I remember even in 2010, Honorable Matias Asanja presented a case of Mr. Magode Kuya, but then the two, they were directed to by the committee that Under Secretary was advised to present a financial status of the account, of 3 accounts, the board, so that the board can be able to consider the way forward with regard to either open up a collectional account and operational account, or use the old ones. So the reason as to why the old ones were closed, again, I have an issue as to why it was, everything was emanating from Kasimbazi, where she refused to account, and the members could not proceed with those bank accounts. Were saying that Honorable Madam Kasimbazi, the Under Secretary, had issues of accountability. We have even the letters from Inspector General of Government of the same, of accountability. She could not respond to the same. Instead, wherever they could ask the accountability, they could close that account. Then they come up and open other accounts. You find that even sometimes you find where, like now, the change of signatories of departed Asians. That was a letter from the Accountant General, D.O.L. Oboch. It was written on 27th, 2011, directed to the Director Banking Bank of Uganda, introducing the new signatory. And among the new signatory they were introducing was Miss Betty Kasimba's Under Secretary and Accounting Officer. But before that letter, on 17th June 2011, Betty Kasimbas was signing and withdrawing money from the account. The question is, as who? And we are trying to track down the 15 billion, how it was spent. We are seeing the changes, and abrupt changes, because now the accountant general wrote the letter on 27th June introducing the key signatories to this account. But on 17th June, before the 27th, Bet Kasimbas was withdrawing the money. Would you now really ask your questions why you can't track the money, why you had to open up new accounts without having failed to have these accounts? You find, now again, you find the accountant general also writing that some of the money which was supposed to be on collection account were directly deposited on operational accounts. And as a committee, so far we had made almost a tune of 4 billion just deposited on an operational account. We need to know why. And she was the one in charge.
Mr. Chairman, I think to save the time for the committee, I pray that you agree to my proposal. I will ensure tomorrow Kachimba is here to answer this question.
Members. Yes, you've seen that you had the proposal.
I just wanted to supplement what the chair was saying.
Then you also submitted the proposal of the chairperson.
I have a letter here signed by Dr. Singazi. And you are requested to pay the proceedings from the fixed deposit account together with the interest, the custodian board, to enable and settle the legal obligations, a copy of this certificate and something. So this is a letter which she was writing to Bank of Uganda to do with the fixed account, which was, I think, in the Bank of Uganda. So what the chair was saying, these are issues that she should come and explain, because these are her own handwritings and signatures. And as a committee, we feel she should be the one to answer these questions. This is the report.
Legal. We are still now part of the principle of fair hearing, because if we proceed, because we have documents, yes, but if we proceed, this very fact we have invited us several times, we are looking at the end of the issue, the end of if we have not given what shall we advise us on that, then we rule on this. Let's advise.
Mr. Chairman, we have come from a long way.
Yes.
And it's like giving somebody a lift from the palace at 4 a.m. living on the main road. It is about 200 meters closer to the house. By the time you arrive where you are going, they tell you this fellow has been murdered. Since we have been patient and considering the condition of Madame Betty Kasimbazi, and the problem she has had, we know. I think I'll go with what the Honorable Werike said. We give her tomorrow, and the Honorable Kasaija has vowed that he will make sure she's here. If she's not here tomorrow, I think nobody will blame us. But let us give her the last chance tomorrow. We had other things to do, but the country is bigger than me. At least I'll be here if we agree that we give her tomorrow as the final judge. Thank you.
Nomination starts with
Presidential.
nomination, second nomination, third nomination.
After Tuesday, to know who later. So we cannot affect
So, legal, let's the legal give their opinion.
Honorable Chairman, the fact that you have traveled, both the PS and the retired under secretary have been cooperative witnesses. That's fine. Rule 205 intends mainly to punish recalcitrant witnesses, which they have not been. So I think if it is within the wisdom of the committee, they will be given one more chance. And if they fail that, since it is already captured on record, the right to the fair hearing will have been duly extended to them. I thank you, Chairman.
Honorable Tumoro.
Mr. Chairman, now we have heard from our new family and the witnesses. I request that as Mr. Honorable has suggested, since we have come from very far, let's not come to the point that let's say if we come here tomorrow and we meet the person, and then we run that and go. Most especially basically on the people that this area was here, yesterday she was here. We know our condition, even the other day she was here. Myself, I don't know our condition, but I saw somebody supporting her, and then she is sitting in her resources, whatever. So if you have varieted her, that she can say, politically, we don't get to come to know. She at least come to know me and stay and resolve the matter, then we can go on.
Can I suggest
Let's wait for
sorry.
I concur with my colleagues.
Members, because of what you've heard,
Before you conclude, Mr. Chairman, I thought I should give a proposal.
please.
So that you have a fruitful discussion and without wasting time.
Yeah.
Could the clerk raise the issue that you would like Kasimba to handle, so that when we come, that one has already been done?
Yes.
Oh, you have said the issues
Yes.
first?
And she's ready to answer.
Is ready to answer? Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So with that, I would adjourn this meeting. See, members, before Honorable Matia, this thing of yours is a problem which we don't think we can solve now. The issue of accountability is a big issue in custodian law. I think the best we could do is to recommend for forensic audit, because you will find a lot of
irregularities
in accountability. And what hurts most, even you, the board, you get to know them, you raise them in your minutes, but then after you keep quiet, including the current chairperson. When he was a member, he raised those issues, but no answers were given. And the person who is supposed to answer that is the Hassoff and the Namilembe Original. Because that period, that was a very, the period where they could sell properties the way they want. You find the Minister of Lands asking to sell these properties. He just get whatever he feels he can deposit on the account and deposit. There was no valuation. The investor committee didn't know anything. Everything didn't know. The accounts you could open for 3 months, 1 year, you close that, you open another one. When they ask for accountability, you close that, you open another one. And I think even now, the new executive secretary opened another account. You are still following the old ones? Then it will be the problem. So you find that billions of shillings, they have got lost in that circus. But because of the principle of fair hearing, and as our Secretary for Legal has advised, I therefore adjourn. But all the board members, they should be here, because this is not only for Kasimbas. The chairman should know how these people are mismanaging the funds they collect. So the board should be here so that you can be able to take decisions when you sit in your board.
Okay.
Should the board not here, we shall not have any other option besides to revoke the rules of procedure of Parliament to all those who will not be around tomorrow. So with that, I adjourn this meeting.
Before you adjourn, I appreciate your ruling, but tomorrow I'm not here. I have an assignment for the ministry. And if people choose to absent themselves, like we have endless time, really, it will be unfair. Tomorrow I will be in Masaka and in Mbarara, inspecting markets under my ministry.
But
Really, the real board member is the minister, not the Minister of State.
I was assigned.
Then you can sort it out with your minister.
So I think, as the chairman has said, for us tomorrow we need a vote. The board should appear here and we conclude this matter. So with that, I adjourn this meeting to tomorrow 28th at 10 a.m. sharp. We proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, we said if you come early, then
10 a.m.
I think that's it, big. Because I've read book.